Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, it is so great to have you. I'm Antoinette, a New Zealander living in Germany. So I'm here today with another raising kids in Germany related video. I love talking about this topic because I am right in the depth of raising my kids here in Germany. I'm a mother of three. I have a 9-year-old daughter Amelia, I have a 6-year-old son Matteo, and a 21-month-old son Luca. And raising my kids here has been such an amazing eye-opening experience. I strongly believe that New Zealand and Germany have very similar core values when it comes to raising children. But in saying that, there are quite a few differences, some very subtle, some not so subtle, and there are definitely things that German parents do differently, which I would like to talk about in this video today. I know that in previous videos I have focused a lot on self-reliance and the fact that many German parents encourage independence. They like to give their children a lot of freedom at a very young age. I think this is a very fascinating aspect of German parenting, but in this video I'm going to be focusing on some different points, some points that I haven't talked about before. And the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that German parents seem to be a lot stricter when it comes to social media and giving their children access to the internet, giving them cell phones. And this is something I have recently noticed. I noticed this more so after my recent trip to New Zealand. I noticed that a lot of older children, sort of the pre-teen, early teen stage, a lot of these children already had cell phones, and when we were out and about it was quite normal to see young pre-teens just glued to their phones. I just noticed that a lot of these pre-teens and teenagers were obsessed with social media and TikTok. They were just always making TikTok videos, and you'd see kids like on the street, you know, filming themselves doing all these TikTok dances or whatever they were doing. And it just seemed to be something that parents were very relaxed about. I don't know whether their phones were monitored, I just have no idea, but it's just something you don't really see in Germany. It's only older kids, like older teenagers, that have cell phones. It's not very often you will see a child, you know, the age of 11, 12 with a cell phone, and it's something I just feel like is much more monitored in Germany. You know, the use of the internet and social media and that type of thing. I know it's quite common for German kids to wear a watch where their parents can track where they are, and they can also call their children, and their children can call them if they need. These watches don't have access to the internet. Amelia actually has one of these, and I find them really, really useful for that reason. And so it's not necessary for children to have cell phones. Also, one of Amelia's friends, she carries around an old cell phone. I think it was her mum's cell phone from the early 2000s that doesn't have internet connection. It only has text messaging and calling, and so I think this is absolutely fine. But you know, giving children smartphones with access to the internet and TikTok and all of these crazy social media platforms is just so unnecessary. If you're a German parent with teenagers, pre-teens, you know, older children, what are your views on this subject? Do they already have smartphones, or do they not have smartphones? If so, why or why not? I would be really interested to hear your opinion on this topic. Okay, so something else I've noticed that German parents do differently has to do with leaving their children home alone. And it is actually quite common here in Germany for parents to leave their older children, sort of aged maybe 8 and upwards, home alone. This seems to be totally normal in Germany, and this is something that wouldn't really happen in New Zealand. Amelia has a couple of friends here who are also the same age as her, 9, who come home from school to an empty house. Their parents are working, and they just make their own lunch, they do their homework alone. This seems to be something really normal in Germany, to leave sort of older children at home alone for, I don't know, an hour to maybe 4 hours or something like that. And this is something that just wouldn't happen in New Zealand. Most New Zealand parents would never dream of letting their 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old be at home alone for, you know, anything longer than like 10 minutes. It's just something that's not done in New Zealand, and in Germany it seems to be totally normal. I don't know how I feel about this. The longest I would leave Amelia at home would be maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes when I go and pick Mateo up from kindergarten and she doesn't want to come with me. She will be home alone then, but I make her lock the door and I come straight home. And I still feel really uncomfortable about it. Amelia's like, Mum, it's fine, because most of her friends are allowed to stay at home alone when their parents go to the supermarket, for example. You know, they are allowed to stay at home by themselves. No one thinks anything of it. It's just something pretty, I guess, normal here in Germany. And I don't know why this is. As I said, I don't know how I feel about it because I've grown up in a different culture where this is something that you don't really do. You know, German parents, they do give their children a lot more freedom and independence at a young age. I think many German children at the age of, say, 8, 9 are really mature and sensible and capable, and this is how they've been raised. And so German parents think nothing of leaving their children at home alone for a little while to look after themselves, and they are very capable of doing so. But as I said, it's something I am still not really sure about. It's a very big cultural difference that I've noticed between New Zealand and German parents. Okay, so the next point has to do with social media and children's privacy. So one thing I have noticed is that German parents are extremely strict when it comes to privacy and their children's privacy. And so most German parents do not show their children's face on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. In New Zealand, it's very normal to share photos of your children on social media, and most New Zealanders don't think anything of it. In Germany, there's just a much different opinion about this. So many Germans, they have Facebook or Instagram, and they will include pictures of their children, but often it will be from behind, like you'll just see the back of their head, or maybe they will like blur out their face or something like that, or they just won't include their children at all in photos online, which I totally understand. I can completely see the reason behind this. You will see my children pop into my videos once in a while, and I have made videos with my children, but I am doing that far less right now because, you know, I am aware now of, you know, the dangers of sharing too much of your personal life online. Also, you have to think about your children's privacy and will they want this information online later in life. I know that a lot of New Zealand parents also don't show their children on social media, and I totally understand and respect this. This is something that is a lot more common now than it was a few years ago, but it's still pretty normal to share photos of your children on social media in New Zealand. And you know, the odd German parent will do this, but it's not very common. And as I said, it's something I'm leaning towards, just not showing my children at all online. So once again, I'd love to hear your opinions on this topic in my comment section. This is actually quite controversial. I don't even know whether I should have brought this up because it's kind of like opening a can of worms. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of opinions, like very strong opinions on this topic. Okay, so something else that I think German parents do a little bit differently has to do with alcohol and consuming alcohol around their children. It's very common on the weekend, especially during the summertime, to see a German family out at a beer garden enjoying a nice lunch, and the parents will be drinking beer and wine, and they'll make a whole afternoon out of it. It just seems to be something really natural, like the parents will be having a few drinks while the children will be playing at a little playground at the beer garden, or there might be a little sandpit at the beer garden, and no one thinks anything of it. It's just something totally normal. These parents, they're not getting trashed, they're just enjoying a beer with their children close by. Also at places like lakes and swimming pools and, you know, fests, there are a lot of fests in Germany, parents will be drinking around their children, and you know, it's totally legal and it's something very, very normal. As I said, at swimming pools, like at public swimming pools, you can buy alcohol, so parents will be drinking alcohol while watching their children swimming. And this is something kind of unheard of in New Zealand. It just wouldn't happen. I just found it really interesting that drinking around children in a public place seems to be something very just normal and natural here in Germany. It's part of German culture, and it's something that is not sort of taken advantage of. It's done in a very sort of sensible, moderate way, and it just works here in Germany. And it's a concept that probably seems really weird to New Zealanders. Okay, so last but not least, I want to talk about German parents and the age that they decide to have their first child. When German parents become parents, so at what age. It's quite normal in Germany for a first-time mum to be over 35. This is something you see a lot of in Germany, and in New Zealand I feel like the age of a first-time mum is quite a bit younger. I don't know why this is. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that many German women are very career orientated, and so they are waiting a lot longer to have children. Maybe it has something to do with the school system here in Germany. It can take a little bit longer to get through the school system and university, and many German women will want to do, you know, their masters on top of their bachelor's degree, and it could be something to do with this, I'm not sure, but there are a lot of highly educated women in New Zealand. I just feel like the age of a first-time mum seems to be a little bit younger. I know that Germany has a very low birth rate. When I gave birth to Amelia, I was 27, which is a pretty normal age in New Zealand to become a first-time mum. And I felt like such a young mum. Wherever I went to, you know, play groups or to the playground, I felt like I was the youngest mum at the playground. You'd see a lot of older, more mature mothers with children around the same age, and I found it interesting. And so now I'm an older mum. I'm 37 and I have an almost 2-year-old, and so I fit in pretty well in that sense. But you know, when Amelia was little, I felt a little bit out of place sometimes. I felt like I dressed too young, I acted too young. It's just something I noticed. Women in Germany seem to be more career orientated, and many of them decide to have their children later in life. This may have something to do with the low birth rate in Germany. Women are waiting too long to start having children, and they're having problems. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. I would like to do a little bit more research on this and find out what is the reason, the actual reason why German parents are waiting a lot longer to have children. So anyway guys, that is all I've got for this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it. As I mentioned, I would love to hear your feedback in my comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!